Are we legal?
Sir.
Okay. Okay, I'll call the regular meeting of the Robeson County Commission, August 21st, 23 in order. I'd like to ask everybody, if you got ball caps on, to please remove them, and please check your cell phones if you can. All right, commissioners, time for roll call, if you will. Answer roll. Push button for roll. Okay, we got 23 present, one absent. 2 absent, 23 counting me. I declare we got a forum. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, the chair would like to recognize Commissioner Michael Doris for our invocation, followed by the lifted flag. Would you please stand?
We'll pray with me. Father in heaven, thank you for this day you've given us. Father, we've got a lot to go over tonight. Father, we ask that you put your hand on us and guide us in the direction. Father, we sure like to have this blessing tonight. Father, I would actually really like for you to touch everybody in here on this decision. Father, if you will, bless those that's serving the country, our first responders. Father, most of all, forgive us and lead us in the righteous path. In your name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Doris.
Yes, sir.
Anybody needs to sit down, there's some chairs right up here. All right, commissioners, in your package is minutes from the previous meeting. I'll entertain a motion. You got a motion by Roberts. Got a second by Woodard. All in favor of filing the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, the minutes are filed. Communications. Jordan Osborne, got up off the bat. You ready? Jordan's got a message she'd like to give the county commissioners. How you doing, Jordan?
I'm well, Mayor Vogel, thank you.
Jordan is our member of the Chamber of Commerce, Robeson County. She's our leader, does a great job.
Commissioners, thank you for having me tonight. I wanted to invite you all to participate in our Robertson County Local Elected Official Leadership Program. This is going to be a 3-day program. Many of you have been through the leadership program. It's a 9-month program. It's a competitive application process and people apply to go through it, predominantly business leaders in our community. It's a look from the inside out of our community. And many of you obviously know the inner workings of county government, but potentially don't know the inner workings of the rest of our county. So we want to give you the opportunity to go through that program. A lot of counties do something like this for their elected officials. We're going to do this year for free, for no cost to you guys. It's going to be a 3-day program. It'll be a Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, October 4th, 5th, and 6th. I have an application here if you'd like to fill it out. The program will be from 8 o'clock in the morning until 5 o'clock at night on Wednesday and Thursday. But Friday, we're going to finish our history and tourism day is our final day, our final session. And we're going to finish at Smoke, a ballad of the Night Riders. How many of you have seen that? Not enough of you. So we want you to know the history of our community and our county. And tourism, it has a huge impact on our entire economy. That's Mayor Vogel, we really like tourists, don't we?
I love tourism. They come to the county, they spend their money, and then they wave by, don't they?
Right, they go home. So we want to promote opportunities for people to come into Robertson County and really experience what we find so much rich history and joy in. We want you guys to know about the assets we have here as well. So the first day will be education and healthcare. The second day will be agriculture and industry. And the third day will be tourism and history. This is typically, like I said, a 9-month program. It takes 1 day a month for 9 months to go through it. The cohort is usually made up of about 20 business leaders. I'm going to put a cap of 50 to participate in the local elected official program. This is going to be available both to county commissioners and any elected official within our community, as well as any of the cities, our legislative officers. Angie was in this last year's class. It's a great way for you to learn about what's happening outside of just your community that you represent tonight. So I have applications. I have an agenda. You'll take one. Thank you.
Where's it gonna be? Where you gonna
So
hold
if
it?
you want to just take one and pass it around, that'd be great. And I'll also give you this to pass around as well. Take one and pass it.
Come on,
yeah.
Jeremiah.
Jordan, is this for department heads too?
Yes, sir, for department heads as well. Anybody that wants to participate in it, if you're a business in this community and want to participate, the applications are open right now. You can find those applications on the website. It is a competitive application process. It's a weighted application. We have a committee that selects the top 20 to participate. There's usually a waiting list to participate. The program is usually $350 a person to go through it because we provide your breakfast and your lunch. We provide transportation for everybody to go through it. We'll provide tickets for you for a night of smoke. If you guest that wants to come with you, we'll purchase those. You can purchase those in addition to. I think it's really important that our elected officials take every opportunity they can to be engaged and informed about what's happening in our community. And many of you are, but this is just a better look. Additional questions?
Any questions for
So
Jordan?
we're going to start, every day we'll start at the Chamber of Commerce, and then we'll load on a bus and we'll do, we'll provide transportation for that as well.
Any other questions?
You can submit your application, you can fill a paper application out. You can also find the application on our website. You can email us at the chamber info@robertsonchamber.org or my personal email address. And
Okay.
thank you, Mayor.
Hey, thank you, Jordan, for all the work you do for Robeson County.
We need that.
Representing our businesses. All right. Chair next recognizes EMS Director Brent Dyer.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners, members of the audience, Robertson County community. Thank you for making us a member of the court briefly. We wanted to take a special recognition at the Emergency Management Agency Director and his Deputy Director, Commissioner Stubblefield, the Chair of the EMS Committee and EMA Committee. Since this body last met, there was a retirement of the Fire Chief and Assistant Chief from the Orlando Fire Department. We'd like to call these two individuals forward, please, Ms. Dusty and Nancy Johnson. As they're coming forward, just in the tenure that I had been here in the past and then in the director's role over the last 10 months, seen these two individuals all hours of the night in all kinds of conditions, on all kinds of situations, some good, some unthinkable. And never once did they ever get close to failing the people of Robertson County. So we want to take just a brief moment and recognize them. May I borrow this, please? Thank you, sir. Appreciate that, Blake. Chief Dusty Johnson, retired, happily. If I hang around, we'll put you to work later, probably. And then Chief Miss Nancy Johnson, also all the, I call her Mama Nancy. She made them do right. So, but y'all are recognized on this date, August 21st, 2023, before the Robertson County Commission, our mayor and members of the public for over 30 years, dedicated service to the people of Robertson County and Orlando, Tennessee. For the many years of professional service and first response to a lot of medical calls. We appreciate that. We honor you and wish you both a very happy retirement. Thank you. Please don't grab it.
Thank y'all, Dusty.
All right, I know y'all are signed, but the rest of you need to sign.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brent.
Thank you.
Nancy also serves on our 911 board. You resigning from that too, Nancy, or you retiring from that?
He's asking if you're retiring from E911.
Are you retiring from 911 board too?
No, sir.
Thank you.
It's fine.
Thank you, Brent, for doing that. We don't, I'm gonna tell you, these first responders, very important to the county. A lot of times they get out, called out in the middle of the night for very, very little pay, and they're there for 4 or 5 hours fighting fires. And we need more volunteers. Anybody wants to volunteer these fire departments, it's good training, and it's a good experience for them. Okay, also in my communications, on September 7th at Springfield Baptist Church County Commissioners, you know, every year we meet with Montgomery County Commissioners. Seems like maybe some in Dixon or something, but it's kind of like
It's 9,
yeah,
9 counties. right?
yeah, 9 counties, but it's kind of like a educational thing. I think we get points for it, yeah. It's be at Springfield Church at 6 o'clock. It's well, I got September the 7th, so I want to announce that. Plus you get a free meal out of it, gang.
It is the 7th, Mayor?
Sir,
7th?
that's what, I got 6. Yeah, September 7th, 6 o'clock. All right, and I got one more. I got an announcement to make at the retirement celebration honor 30 years of dedicated service for Chief Richard Head. It's be Friday, September 1st from 9 to 11, the General Sessions Courtroom. Everyone's invited. And I've done told Chief I appreciate what he's done for 30 years service. And I don't think we've seen the last of Chief, I hope not. But I'd like to give him a, Chief, will you stand up?
Yeah, please.
Be the last time you'll come second. You're welcome, Chief Ed. And tell you what, somebody's gain is really gonna be our loss. Thank you for what you've done for Robeson County. That's all I've got, communications, Madam Clerk, if I've missed anything. Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move to our reports. First report we got is from the Highway Department. Any questions or comments? Animal Control, any questions or comments? Mr. Moore,
Yes,
you
sir.
reckon we're gonna be open
Sometime in September.
September? Well, a new building. Thank you. Trustees report, any questions or comments? Getting back down to control, we could always use volunteers down there too. Planning report, any questions or comments?
I've got one question, sir.
Okay, Mr. Haley.
On, the July amount year to date, should we not have carried that amount up in June? Shouldn't that be year to date, 132,099?
Come on, planning report?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I
Did I
did,
jump one on you?
yes, you did.
I apologize.
I'd have to ask the finance department. That's probably needs to stay in July. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
All right, solid waste report, any questions or comments? Fire committee, any questions or comments? Veteran service officers, any questions, comments? EMA report, any questions or comments? Finance report, any questions or comments? Last, the EMS report, any questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to file reports. Got a motion by Roberts. A second by Commissioner Bobby Couts. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Reports are filed. Thank you, Commissioners. Chair now recognizes Commissioner Stubblefield from the Nomination Committee.
Mr. Mayor, Madam Clerk, fellow commissioners and honored guests. The nominating committee tonight brings to you a list of committees that we would like to nominate members for. These are our September elections on an odd year. So there's not as many as there will be next year in September. So if I don't have any opposition, I'd like to just read them all to you, and then we'll vote on them at one time unless there's an issue. So our finance management, we have Billy Vogel, County Mayor, the Director of Schools, Troy Aikens, our Highway Superintendent, Brent Martin, Bob Hogan, Kevin Gray, and Ray Hart. For our Handicapped Advisory Board, we have Trey Fan, Reverend Frank Evans, Deborah Justice, Brent Martin, and Bob Hogan. Board of Zoning Appeals, David Goodman, we're nominating him to replace Buddy Bryant and complete his term that ends in January of 25. Our Health and Safety Standards Board, Keith Hoover, Eugene Fetterman, W.O. Bill Jones, Steve Haley, and Steve Moss. And then our Jail Disciplinary Review Board, Kyra Strange, Chelsea Roberts, Linda Royer, Nicole Manzarano, Kathy Lassiter, Tammy Parks, and Brad Menace. We'd like to place these names in nomination.
Okay, I got a motion by Stubblefield, a second by Commissioner Roberts. Any questions? Question being called. If you for these nominations, vote yes. No. I mean, voice vote. Okay. Well, thank you, Madam Clerk. Vote aye. Aye. Vote no. All right, so moved. Thank you, Commissioner Stubblefield. All right, this time I'll open the meeting to the public. Our Robeson County Zoning and Development Office. And I'm doing our zoning. The chair recognizes Hunter Mantooth from Development and Zoning Office. He will read these requests, and I'll ask if there's anyone here to speak on it, and I'll ask for you to come forward, state your name and address.
First one is a rezoning request from AG2 to RP 80. Resolution number 0821238085. Amy Ellis Massey is requesting a rezone of 1.84 acres of the 2.85 acres from AG2 to RP 80, located on Heads Church Road, tax map 109, part of parcel 2023, 11th voting district. The Planning Commission recommended approval by a vote of 7-0.
Okay, is anyone here to speak on that rezoning? Yes, ma'am, come forward.
You mean an Ellis? Oh, okay. What would you like to know?
Well, state your name and address and tell us how you feel, I guess.
My name's Tony Ellis, and I'm at 2854 Hedge Church Road. And we desire to change the zone of our parents' property, or the house property, by 1 acre down because the farm road frontage is minimal, and the house takes up too much of the road frontage. So we're simply wanting to have 1 acre go back into the farm so that we can have more road frontage and the possibility of more road frontage in the future. That's it. And one of my sisters is hoping in the near future to buy that house, and we want to do it before she buys the house.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ellis.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, honeybee. I've been knowing her since she's a little kid, y'all.
Next rezoning request is AG2 to R40, resolution number 0821238086. Edward Earl Jones III is requesting to rezone 1.67 acres of the 19.27 acres from AG2 to R40, located on Bethlehem Road, tax map 094, part of parcel 138, 3rd voting district. The Planning Commission recommended approval by a vote of 7-0.
Okay, is anyone here to speak on the Jones resolution? Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the county commission. I need a motion for the Ellis property on 11th voting district.
So moved.
Got a motion by Roberts. Need a second by Commissioner Moore. Any questions for,
Question.
question being called? If you're for this resolution, vote yes. If you're against it, vote no. Got 22 for, 0 against. That resolution passes. We'll move down to next request, Ag 2 to R40, Edward Earl Jones. Oh, gosh, let's see, we're in the 3rd voting district. It's going from Ag 2 to R40. I need a motion for approval. Got a motion by Commissioner Rummel. Second by Commissioner Woodard. Question being called. If you're for this resolution, vote yes. If you're against it, vote no. Got 22 for, 0 against. That resolution passes. Thank you, Hunter. Good job, Hunter. Good, thank you. All right, we'll move into our resolutions, our new resolutions. Chair recognizes Bobby Couch, Chairman of the Budget Committee.
Madam Clerk. Mr. Mayor. Fellow Commissioners, honored guests. I'd like to present to you resolution, excuse me, 07172-3081. This is a resolution amending the budget for this fiscal year for the school capital outlay. If I can get a second, we just.
I got a second by Commissioner Jackson.
This is a second reading for architects, land development, and site development. And I want to say that this was coming out of the school fund.
Any more questions for Commissioner Couch?
Question.
All right, question being called for. If you're for this resolution, vote yes. If you're against it, vote no. We got 22 for, 0 against. That resolution passes. Commissioner Couch.
Yes, sir. This is resolution 082-123-087. This is a resolution for the highway department for the total amendment for their total state aid program. We're accepting money from the state on this one.
Question being called for. This resolution, vote yes. If you're against it, vote no. And for those in the audience that's like to be aware, it costs about $100,000 a mile now to pave roads in Robinson County.
$129,435.
Yep, so we're gonna get 7 miles paved. I got 22 for and 0 against. I declare that resolution passes. Thank you, state. Okay, Commissioner Couch.
All right, this is resolution 082-123-088. This is a resolution for capital outlay for software update. This is money that we had put back for this. It's going to be $36,051. This is updating the court software required by the state.
Yes, it is a state requirement. Okay, I got a motion by Couch and a second by Roberts. Anyone have a question for the chairman?
Question.
Question being called. If you're for this resolution, vote yes. Against it, vote no. I got 22 for, 0 against. That resolution passes. Commissioner Couch.
All right, this is resolution 082-123-089. This is a resolution dealing with drug funds. The fund of $215,928. It's distributing for drug control fees, fines, and to sell us some equipment.
I got a second by Commissioner Doc Martin. Questions for Commissioner Couch? Question being called. If you're for that resolution, vote yes. If you're against it, vote no. Got 22 for and 0 against. That resolution passes. Commissioner Couch.
All right. This is resolution 082-123-090. And this is the budget for next year. Currently, that sets it at $1.87.
Okay, I got a motion by, of course, Chairman, second by Commissioner Hogan. I got Commissioner Rummel would like to speak.
Mr. Chairman, I know we've all heard a lot from the community. Appreciate the members of the community have come here tonight. I have an amendment I'd like to offer to the general fund, if I may approach the podium to present my amendment.
Yes.
That be okay?
Yeah, I'd like for everybody to hear you.
Yeah, I thought that might be better to, I'm not going to hear it heard a little bit. I have copies of an amendment I've prepared here to the general fund. If I can just.
Give me the amount.
Sure, if you don't mind.
I'm pretty good at that.
Thank you, sir. What you're receiving here is an amendment to the general fund budget. And I'm going to review a few things that the amendment seeks to achieve. I know we're covering the general fund right now, not the proposed property tax increase, but it's my objective to see if we're able to get the property tax increase reduced from the 14% down to a 6% increase. No, I wish we didn't have to have a property tax increase. We're in a situation where there are some pressing needs for the county. The county's growing. The chairman so adeptly said a month or so ago to me that compromise happens whenever all parties leave a little unhappy. And I have to say, I'm coming to this meeting tonight and to this a little unhappy already because I didn't want to be in a position of voting for a budget and property tax increase in my first year as a county commissioner, for sure. And from the feedback, I know there's probably some confusion about the amount of the increase with the public, and perhaps that's driving some of the comments from some of the calls and emails we've received. But overall, it seems like I'm hopeful we can do better. So the path to reduce this from a 14 to 6%, or by 0.1232 pennies for a new tax rate of 1.7468 is where I'm headed with this. And I realize we're taking up the general fund budget at this time and not the tax increase. So I have a separate amendment for the tax increase proposal. This amendment holds our departments whole, giving needed resources, including the raises for our public servants, deserve them as we face a difficult task of making wage adjustments to retain staff in the competitive labor market that we're in. Possibility exists, an opportunity to take a more critical look at the budgets of the individual departments, considering the more than $3.6 million that have been returned to the general fund in the past 2 fiscal years. They've returned to the general fund at the end of the last 2 fiscal years, especially with the increases in this year's budget over last year's. Hopeful that we'll have continued good management by our department heads. Mayor Rightful, I think, gives them credit for that. The department heads did a good job that they have done in managing the county's finances. I believe it's also possible perhaps the budget is loaded a little heavier than it should be with some cushion in there for unexpected needs. Some of that's prudent, certainly, but some of it has resulted in large returns to the department. This amendment increases line item for fire protection services to $1,667,650, an increase of $893,825. It is in keeping with action taken at the recent fire committee meeting. Fire protection is a vital community service that affects our home fire insurance rates. And I have included it here because I don't want to see it leveraged for political purposes to raise taxes. Fire protection is an area of county services that has been neglected for some time, and we're putting our communities at risk when that happens.
Commissioner Rowe, could you
Yes,
speak a little louder? I'm having a hard time.
okay, thank you.
Now, I didn't hear that last statement that you made,
Yeah,
that it
let's
was
start
a
over, Tom.
commitment from the county. And I was under the impression that we were giving them funds, but we have no commitment to them.
All right. Well, I think we have a moral obligation and a
I
commitment.
didn't say that. I was talking about the
That's-
commitment we
that's-
had. You indicated that it was a commitment.
Yes, sir, and I'll be
that we
happy
had
to take
do.
questions and address specifics when I
I
finish
just want
presenting the
to
amendment.
clarify that right now.
Yes, sir.
It's a donation.
So.
It's a donation, right? It's a donation.
Fair enough, fair
Okay.
enough. I appreciate the clarification. They've operated without a contract now for years, and it's a tribute to our mostly volunteer force of firefighters that they have been willing to continue to function in this matter in spite of the county's inaction. We owe them a debt of gratitude. This amendment increases the line item for ambulance service by $280,000 to give our EMS department the additional ambulance they requested to update our aging fleet with an ever-increasing maintenance expense. Lastly, the amendment will create a 1 penny savings even with these increases by requiring $1,160,905 in capital outlay expenses, mostly one-time expenses drawing from our general fund reserves. Our general fund reserves projected to increase to $17,841,160 by the end of fiscal year '24. That's on page 11 of your budget document. This does not include the 3.6 plus million we've added at the end of the fiscal year for the past 2 years. So I think the question before us is how much is enough in our general fund? How high do we want that to go? To me, the easy question is how low should it be? What's the minimum amount that should be in the general fund? The Government Financial Officers Association recommends 2 months of operating expenses. They're in the process of increasing that guidance to 3 months. 1 month right now for the county is just north of $4 million, $4,039,083. 3 months to follow their recommendation would be $12,117,250. $12,117,250. 4 months would be $16,156,333. Our fund balance at $17,841,160 projected at the end of this fiscal year. If we go with the most conservative estimate of 4 months for operating expenses in our fund balance, we would still have an excess of $1.684 million in the general fund balance. I say let's keep 4 months in there. Don't draw that fund down too much and put the county unnecessarily at risk. But that does free up the $1.684 million. I'm suggesting with this amendment that we draw down our reserves for these capital outlay items that are listed, mostly one-time expenses. I have confirmed with the comptroller's office that this is a structurally balanced approach to our county budget. By adopting this amendment, we will properly fund basic government services while reducing the property tax burden, in this instance, in this fund, by 1 penny. And I'm just getting started. I have another amendment to do more significant reductions on the tax rate side. The high end is a much more subjective number, asking how much is too much for these funds. I would suggest that it's wrong to continue to bloat our fund reserves, excess taxation on the backs of our citizens. Mr. Chairman, that is my motion. I welcome the second for discussion. And I'm happy to take questions if it receives a second.
I'll second.
Yeah, second, third.
Any questions? I've got a question too.
I've got a question. I mean, I understand, so by your math, we think 4 months is what they're gonna come to us. We got 17 million in there. And I don't think having $1 million or $2 million extra on a $16 million budget is fluff. I know you do, from what you said, and I understand that. And you're right, you're funding. One of the things that we've done on this budget, what we've tried to do on this budget, is keep enough reserve in there, and I told you that, to take care of $600,000 for a roof or a bridge falling. And if we don't have that money there to do that, then we're gonna go borrow money. The other thing we're trying to do is keep a good fund balance. I'll admit we are. Part of the reason we want a good fund balance is because we know a school is coming. Right now, we've got a really good bond rating. And my fear has always been, if we start taking money out of these budgets and we start drawing these down to the bare minimum, that we're gonna lose that balance, lose that rating. And then we get ready to borrow money, we all gotta pay more for it because we understand a lower rating means more money, more interest. And that's gonna come back to bite us. So we started this year out 6 million out projected. And we were really afraid it was not to be higher than this. And we've now cut it to $1.87 from where we thought we'd be in $2. I've said all along, this is not my budget, it's a budget of the commission and our budget committee. And I've asked everybody to come listen, and I have no problem with making, I told you, I didn't want this job to start with. I was perfectly happy not being a budget chairman, but this is where I'm at. And our budget committee has spent a lot of time and effort making this budget where it's at. I don't like the idea of pulling our funds down for that reason. You know, it's a rainy day fund. And when you pull it down to where you're in the bare minimum, then that's where you got. So I understand we don't like to tax, nobody likes a tax increase. For anybody that knows, we got to pay the same tax everybody else does. I think I got one email telling me it's a money grab. I don't know who it's a money grab for. I don't get anything extra out of it, neither does anybody else up here. But the truth is, for an average home, based on $1.87, your taxes are gonna go up $250 for the year. That's what it's gonna go up. And I know that's not insignificant. I also know that we're trying to fund the sheriff's department, we're trying to fund the EMS, and I realize you're doing it here. You're just taking, in my opinion, the rainy day money away.
Hey, may I respond?
Well, first,
Move on to the next.
can I get Joe Stewart being made a member of the court? Because we're taking everybody's $799 away, like sheriff's losing $107,000 out of $799. And maybe somebody could tell me what we're taking away from them. This may be.
No, so we're not taking anything away from anyone. We're moving that money from reserve rather than from recurring funds.
I mean, you talking about.
Everyone is keeping their capital funds with what I'm proposing here.
We just.
It's just coming from. where-
Jody, can I get Jody Stewart made a member of the court?
But,
I got a motion to make Jody Stewart a member of the court. Can I get a second? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Hey, Jody, could you help us out here a minute? I mean, for
I have
the,
a question.
for the people in the audience, we just seen this, and I think we need to,
Commissioner Rollins, I have one question.
yeah.
Animal control. $799, various capital outlay. As you know, we're not through.
yes, ma'am.
Just approved 30,000,
That's right.
and we're still not through.
Again,
So you're wanting to take 100,000 out of his budget.
we're not taking it out of his budget. We're sourcing the funds that's paying for it from the reserves rather than from the recurring funds. So none of those items listed are being removed from any department's budget. We're just sourcing them from the reserves, down the reserves instead of the current funds. And I agree with the Chairman Couts that we don't want to draw down our general fund to the bare minimum. That's what I was describing there. The recommendation that the Government Financial Officers Association is transitioning from a 2 months reserve to a 3 month, and I'm proposing that we keep a 4 month reserve there. So that is hardly drawing it down to a minimum for the fund. That's keeping a healthy balance there. Did you want Stewart to?
Yeah, the only thing difference I see here is instead of, you could just take whatever you want to take out of the debt service and just leave these 799 accounts. What's the difference?
Well, it doesn't touch debt service, it's general fund.
It's general funds.
Oh, well, you're taking it out of our general fund debt service. Yeah, I mean, we got general fund debt service, solid waste debt service, it's,
Mr. Doty, I got one question for
Yes, sir.
Fisher. So so that I'm clear on what we're talking about. We're not looking at taking one-time money to pay recurring expense.
That's correct. We're taking one-time
Because
money.
that's just kicking the can down the road. It's gotta be
That's
picked up at some point.
We're looking at the expenses. Mostly one-time expenses, by everything I saw in the budget, and we're pulling from the reserves to pay the capital outlay expenses, rather than using recurring funds to pay that, to allow a little more space in the recurring money to do a couple other things here, like the funding of the fire departments and the additional ambulance. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
hey, Commissioner Head Hebert?
Hey, I just have one question, Mr. Council. When you said the $200 to $250 per average home, what's the average?
$311,000.
Yeah.
That was, so before the last tax assessment, the average home in Roberts County was $186,000. After the last assessment, it went to $311,000. So I do think, look, tax increases and tax increase, and I do think that sometimes we get caught up in percentages, and I'm like everybody else. When I opened up the letter telling me what my house was now worth, I said, good grief. But there are other counties who've kept all that. We didn't want to keep any of it, but we felt like we needed to keep this county moving forward. We did have a tax. So the average home, I think, is $250. That's for $311,000. I want to tell you, and my math's not perfect, around $80 for every $100,000 that your house is. You got a $400,000 home, it's going to be around $320 more. If it's $500,000, it's going to be $400 more. That's the number. And I'll say again, nobody likes it. Everybody here has to pay the same tax. We don't get a break, and we don't like that. But I get that this is an alternative. I feel like we're taking money out, and I will tell you this: one of the things we've done with our department heads, and I think I understand that a lot of people believe that there's a lot of graft and a lot of waste. And maybe there is. I don't think there is in this county. I think our department heads do a really good job. I think when they don't spend all their money, they put it back in the general fund. Sure. And we don't nitpick it every year saying, wait, you didn't spend this last year, you can't have it back. Because a good way to make them to do that is just take it from them.
Yeah.
Because next year they're going to spend it.
Yeah.
And that's human nature. So I'm going to say again, I don't think our department heads hide money. I don't think they spend money they don't have to spend. And when they don't spend it, it goes back in the general fund. So, and I said that before in our public hearing, and I thought it was great that we talked, and we did listen to what people said. We were trying to find a way to make it less. But I think what we have here works, because I think there's a certain amount of trust, and I don't think they pat them a lot. I know that you've got money there that it's, like you said, it's one-time money. I think you got to understand, if we do this and our budget and our fund balances don't come in good, then we get to have this again next year.
Yep.
Commissioner Hogan.
Two things here. Number one is, this is a surprise to me to see these figures at this time when I do not have a chance to study them and go over them like you have had a chance in calling the comptroller's office. That's one issue. The other issue is we are talking about reducing the fund balance. Is that not right? And we also use the fund balance as a borrowing tool in the future. And we do know we have schools coming up, justice centers, and maybe fire departments in the future. So we need to keep our fund balance as high as we can stand it, because it is a tool that we use to borrow money against.
I don't disagree with a healthy fund balance, and certainly that's in keeping with what I've proposed here.
Commissioner Moore?
Commissioner Counts, I pulled, everything's a public record as far as property, and I pulled 3 different ones. For those that do not know, if you are in a manufactured home, previously it was not assessed correctly. Okay, so your taxes or your assessment, your appraisal went up more. For example, I live in a manufactured home, but my parents, their tax increase was lower than mine. So I called and they're like, this is what happened. But for a $596,000 home, the couple paid $2,496 last year. They're only having a $291 increase for $2,787 for the year. So there's not a whole lot unless you're in a manufactured home, it's increasing.
Commissioner Martin?
Commissioner Hall, did you attend the meeting where the outside entity who had no bias came and told us and complimented us on these fund balances, clearly stating that Robertson County was among the best in the state?
That's right.
Also clearly stating that that would enable us to borrow money should we need to borrow at a lesser rate than it would be if we didn't have that fund balance. Did you attend that?
Yes, sir.
And did you hear
I
that?
certainly did.
Did you
and
hear
I-
the same thing I heard? That because of these balances, we could borrow at a much lesser rate than if we didn't have these balances. You heard that, right?
I'm not proposing any draconian cuts.
I'm
to our-
not
Yes,
using
I
the
did hear
adjective
that.
draconian. I'm using, said if you didn't have these balances, it would cost you more to borrow.
I'm very familiar with rating, fund ratings. I worked on the
That-
team with the state of Tennessee that was involved with getting the Tennessee's fund rating elevated from.
I was just talking about that
AA to
meeting.
AAA.
You specifically on
I
that
know
meeting.
what you're talking
You
about.
heard that man say that.
I did say that. I
Okay.
did hear that, but what we don't know is if something slightly less would have any kind of major adverse impact on it, and I don't see that it will.
Yeah, I just want to go on the
You may have a
record.
different
What
opinion.
that outside entity told us.
Yes, sir.
And you heard the same thing I heard.
I did,
Okay.
but I believe we have a different opinion on that.
Okay, I got, Mr. Subtle.
I'd just like to say, first of all, he hasn't touched the departments. He's already reiterated that, and I'd like to say that again. He hasn't touched any department heads. So he hasn't said that anybody's mismanaging money. He's left it exactly as it is. There's not much changing here except for helping our constituents. Our constituents, I'm sure, don't even have 1 month of expenses right now in savings. I know I don't. The economy is ridiculous right now. So especially 5 months. Do we really think many of these guys have 5 months in savings of their expenses? Again, I do not. So I don't know why we should expect them to pay for the county to have this amount when what Commissioner Rummel has presented is a conservative number, even in the comptroller's eyes.
Okay, but the state does require us to have a certain amount of months ahead in case everything went broke.
Absolutely.
Commissioner DeLong.
Yes, I want to say I appreciate the budget committee. I trust you folks 100%. I think you're professional and you know so much more about it than I do, and I do trust what you have to say.
Amen.
Okay, Commissioner Ayers.
I got two questions. When was the last time we had a tax increase? What year?
8 years ago.
8 years ago.
So we've operated this long on what we were taking in 18. Considering what everything we've had to buy has gone up as a county as well as individuals. So have we not done well to get this far without a tax increase? And do we not, I know it's gonna make people mad, but do we not need one to be able to pay our bills as a county?
It was 2004.
Commissioners, at the meeting last week, I'm not sure if you were there for it, but I would say there were two takeaways from the public feedback that we had. One was, couldn't it be just a little bit more incremental and not such a big change at one time? So that was one takeaway. The other is, if it's going to increase so much, what are we getting? More of the same, or what are we getting for it? I think what I proposed here gives us a good answer to the public, in that we're improving our emergency services with the additional ambulance, and we're also securing the additional funds for the fire services. And I'm sure there are other things in the budget as well we could point to, but those things in particular.
Hey, let me just say the budget committee's already decided to take the roof money and give it to the fire committee. They haven't made it, we was gonna wait till this budget was final before we did that. Yeah, because we're still waiting on a little bit of paperwork from some of the cities.
Is that not a problem, using one-time funds for a recurring expense?
Well, it's taking it out of fund balance is one-time money too. All right. Who's next? Let's see. Commissioner Heber.
Yeah, I just want to say that, I appreciate everything the budget committee's done. I appreciate everything that the departments have done. And I appreciate the commissioners in the past and the mayors in the past for what they've done. My constituents and people I've talked to have told me that waiting 8 years to have a tax increase is worse on them because they can better plan for if they have a tax increase in small increments every couple of years or every couple of 3 years. If we had had a tax increase, depending on what it was, the last 3 years, we'd probably be at the same point we're at right now. If it's, 8 times 3, if it's 3 cents, whatever. I myself, I know taxes are coming. I myself would rather have a tax increase in small increments than a huge one in 8 years, 10 years, 22 years, whatever years they are. And I just want to say that I think the majority of the people that I have spoken to and have emailed me and have texted me are the same way. And I'm just saying, I appreciate everything. I'm a newbie. I got a learning curve here. And I just want to put that out there and just say we're between a rock and a hard place, but we don't want to make the rock and a hard place on our constituents any more than what we have to. And we all know we have to have a tax increase. I just don't know that we need one as big as we're proposing.
Thank you. Commissioner Pierce?
Thank you. Commissioner Heber, pretty much just said what I want to thank Commissioner Romo for putting this together. It has torn me to pieces with inflation, things that are going on. Talking to constituents, seeing this high tax rate go up. And I don't pretend to be the budget wizard, but in my heart, it really troubles me to vote on such a high increase. And I hope that all commissioners in here, we can figure out some way to really go through this again, see if this is a good alternative, see if there's some way to bring this down. Because people in this county are hurting, and I can't stand by and see that happen with my vote.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would like to reiterate what the last couple have said, after multiple emails and phone conversation. I know their message is, most of them have stated that a smaller increment at a time is more manageable than a one-time hit. Now some, they don't want a tax increase at all. But as we know, everything else has gone up for everybody in their budget. It has for the county as well. We don't get discounts and things. It would be easier on me as well on a smaller scale. I appreciate what Mr. Romo's come up with, and I have studied this budget, and I'm a newbie too. I've studied the last several years' budgets, and I was undecided how I was going to go up until I walked in the building today, and I do appreciate Mr. Romo and what he's proposed. I think it's a fix for this time, and I feel like we'll definitely have to have another one on the way. Hopefully a smaller one as we can go. And I know we got some larger projects that are going to have to come down the road, just in schools alone. As our county and especially the White House area is growing. And also, I applaud Mr. Rumble for this. I appreciate what you've done
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Haley?
I just have one thing, Commissioner Rowland. Some of us have been here a long time, Mayor, Commissioner Moore, and then the 2010 bunch that came on. At one time, we were using our fund balance to service our debt. So we got to the point where we had about $8 million in our fund balance, servicing a debt of $240 million. Is that not right? It was $250 million in debt. And our fund balance was less than $10 million. And I said I would never let us get in that position again. Because we had a position where we brought Mr. McAnulty in, and it was scary what we were going to have to pay interest-wise. And I said I would never do that again. I would never let our fund balance get that low. But I do appreciate you and what the Budget Committee both have done in trying to come up with a compromise. But you're saying that your compromise will reduce the fund balance to 4 months, 16 million.
Yeah, actually a little more than that, will be.
That's all I've got, Mayor.
Commissioner Hogan?
I know that we've worked, and thanks to the Budget Committee and all their efforts and everybody in this whole group here, I have concerns. I pay 2 taxes, city and county. I agree with my commissioner friend Steve there. I think we've advanced this county for the last 9 years that I've been a commissioner, and I think we've grown a long ways. I do not want to back up. I think we should be optimistic and proactive and move forward and not try to chisel this thing down to a point that puts us in a compromising position. We are ranked in the top 10 of the counties. We got people coming here because they love to be this place. We offer a great structure for them. I just do not want to back up, and I'm going to vote for the county, this budget that's presented.
Commissioner Hart?
How much were you proposing to bring the tax rate to?
With the other amendment, it'll reduce it to a 6% increase.
And how much fund balance will you have to use?
For the second one.
For
the
second one,
If you want to go ahead and present it.
it'll touch other fund balance. I don't know if it's appropriate to talk
let's
about
do-
that at this point, since
Okay.
that's a separate resolution. I don't want to be out of order here.
I'll be honest, I can't vote on one of them until I know where they're.
Yeah, you need to go ahead. Yeah, if you're gonna lower the tax rates, you need to go ahead and do it now, because that's what we're voting on.
Should we be voting on both of the at one time then?
Yeah, you need to put it in your
Well,
amendment.
my problem with voting on it, is not that I doubt your numbers, but I don't understand where the money's coming from.
Okay.
And until you keep telling me that you got another budget, another amendment, and I'm not knocking it, but I can't personally vote for this until I see what you're doing with the money.
Sure.
I wanna,
Sure, I
I
just.
wanna know where the money's.
Yeah, I think for the benefit of the county commission,
Okay.
you need to tell us what the tax rate will be.
Okay, sure.
That way, as much as where it's coming from, it's just what it is.
Absolutely. Yep.
Hey, we're not trying to pick on you, because you're doing a great job.
No, I don't take it that way. I can take it if you are trying to pick on me.
Yeah, you've done a lot of work, done a great job.
Thank you, sir. I'm one of the newbies.
Wait a minute, can I get Commissioner Woodard to speak while you're looking?
Yes.
Commissioner Woodard?
I wanted to speak, I think I represent one of the more financially disadvantaged sectors of this community. And we're talking that this trivial money, we're talking that it's so low that everybody should be able to pay it. A lot of folks are on budgets, and if you look at the record, we have a lot of delinquent taxes in the county already. So if we got a big list of delinquent taxes that people can't pay now, it's another burden on them, especially in my district. It's just too much burden on our people. And I think to be realistic and to be in the commission, I think we do have to spend this money. But it is my estimation, and I'm not a budget committee person. I'm just listening to the constituents that I represent. I think the hardship that it's going to cause them is too big of a adjustment at one time. And it's like it was stated before, some people don't want any tax increases at all. But if you want the services that the county provide, it's going to take increase in taxes. But is it of my opinion that the increase is just too large at one time? It's my opinion that we should take a couple of increment, to make the budget. And I want to commend you on your work, extra work, that we all have looked at the budget, but in your in-depth work on this project is commendable, and I thank you for your time.
This next amendment that is before you is, summarize it, it's an amendment that reduces the proposed tax rate to 1.7468. Down from the 1.87 by adjusting funds. The first fund is the general fund that I just reviewed in that First Amendment. We would save 1 penny from those adjustments. The second is reducing the school fund allocation to 0.5618 down 0.0282 from 59 pennies. The third reduces the debt service fund to 0.185 down 8.5 pennies from 27 pennies. The general fund has already been described and the impact on this, so I won't go into further detail on that since we've just been discussing it. The school fund, the value of the penny was determined to be $306,000. It was higher than originally projected, causing an $864,000 windfall for the school's budget from local property taxes. Our school system is flush with cash currently. The governor has increased funding, raising the starting salary for teachers to $50,000 over 4 years, an incremental approach. Our schools were able to raise the starting salary in year 1. Plenty of money to do that, don't have to spread it out over 4 years. That's in part, I believe, due to the ending of nearly $12 million virtual schools contract. And let me be clear, this is good for Robertson County. It's a good thing to be making the teacher salary more appealing for teachers' starting salary in Robertson County, and I support that. The schools will continue to receive over the next 3 years additional funding from the state over this 4-year period as they have adopted an incremental approach to that funding. $864,000 is all that's on the table here. It's less than 1% of the school's $136.9 million budget. It's found on page 80 of the budget packet if anyone wants to reference that. It holds the school funding from local property tax revenues to fiscal year 22-23 levels, satisfying our maintenance of effort obligation. That's page 63 of the budget document. It's not increasing our maintenance of effort obligation for future years. Will the schools be harmed by this action? No, they will not. I happen to be sitting next to our interim director of public schools at the budget meeting whenever this came up. I remember, and I asked her, what will the schools do with this $864,000? She said it'll go into the general fund, which I was surprised by that. And frankly, it will not be missed in a $136, almost $37 million budget. It is pocket change to the schools. It'll give, but let me tell you something, it's going to matter to the taxpayers. That is a 2.82 cent decrease that we can give the taxpayers by doing this. The debt service fund, let's talk about that. The debt service fund is projected to have nearly $27.9 million at the end of the current fiscal year. The recommendation is for the debt service fund is 1 year of debt service. That's only $15,289,000. That's how much we service in debt for the next fiscal year. I agree with my fellow commissioner, that's too low. I would not want to see the fund that low. In fact, I had a conversation with our budget chairman after one of the budget meetings. And we, I think it was whenever the resolution was to reduce the budget amount. And, you know, I asked him at the time, I said, what's special about 27 million? Is there something special? He may remember his response. It was arbitrary, that we used.
Whatever word you use, I didn't disagree with you, but yeah, I'm not gonna tell you there's a big science to it. You know, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I've got a bunch of figures to tell you it should be at that. What we are trying to do is what I just said. We're trying to plan for the future. Absolutely. I'll say this. I don't want my grandkids paying for the school they're attending now.
Right.
Yeah. We can stretch it if we want to, but I don't want that either. I think it's important we pay as we go.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, you recall, I believe part of that conversation was, I believe you indicated to me that you would not want to see the fund drop below 25 million. That would be kind of a bare minimum. In honor of your view on that, I formed this to make sure our debt service fund did not drop below 25 million for the projection. because I agree with you. That gives us an additional $10 million in our debt service fund.
But you're taking that out of the fund balance, right? It's to Scott's that.
It's.
You're taking it out of the fund balance.
Out the debt
It's a debt
service.
service fund. Debt service fund. So, what we have here is reducing it from the 27.9 million, leaving a surplus of $10 million in our debt service fund. Currently, in the current fiscal year, we're projected to be adding 4.2 million to this fund. We need a healthy debt service fund. So we advocate for the 15 million minimum or recommendation there. Adding 4.231 million is, in my opinion, an inappropriate burden to the taxpayer. Keeping an additional 10 million beyond the 15.2 million and reducing that contribution to 1.628 million instead of being 4.23 million would bring the projected fund balance down to $25,289,000. Again, I'm trying to the budget chairman's comment about the $25 million bottom threshold there. Savings of $2,601,000 or 8.5 pennies. Significant savings. As the mayor has stated, we do have some potential bonding needs. So I'm happy to include that in our conversation here. The mayor suggested last week in the public forum, and I believe also in the Smoky Barn News, that we are looking at bonding, I believe you mentioned $100 million potentially.
The last number I got from the former school superintendent, he's talking about maybe an $80 million bond. Now I hear Springfield, they want a Springfield Middle School, and that's that. I'm meeting with lawyers right now and judges. Judges figure make us build another courtroom because of our growth. We're gaining another judge that we got to share with Montgomery County, and we're looking at probably $20, $30 million. Which
Well,
I think is silly, but that's.
Well, I agree with you. I think it's silly too. And I made some calls.
I think it's too much money for a judge that's gonna be here one day a week.
I agree with you completely on that. And
But that's not my call. If the judge tells us to build it, we gotta build it.
to the judicial, some of the members of the local judicial community, including one of the circuit court judges. And they assured me that additional courtroom space right now in the short term is not necessary. So we're getting mixed information. Mr. Chairman, you are an honorable person, and I don't want to cast any aspersions at you. I know you to be an honest man, and I believe you're speaking.
Yeah, I told them we'd have to do it in phases. That if they decided we had to do it 2 years from now and had to do it, we can't afford it. But we can do it in phases. But I'm working with the sheriff's department, he's over security. I'm working, these lawyers, they want it somewhere. It's a lot, it's like peeling an onion. Everybody's got an idea, but none of them cares about the other person's idea.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's what's best for them. But I do know the sheriff's got to secure 2 courtrooms now, plus 21 schools. And if we make him secure another courtroom at another location, I mean, it's just, he's running short of deputies and plus you're putting Christie County, our circuit court clerk, in 3 different buildings. So, hey, this is, yeah, I mean, it ain't something that's gonna get kicked down the road as long as a lot of people think.
Well, the feedback I had from the circuit court judge was their caseload is not increasing, and they'll be able to absorb the work of the additional judge, the 6th circuit court judge, into their existing courtroom resources, and it wasn't going to be necessary to build an additional court.
Can I ask who that judge was that you talked to?
No.
You positioned it as a witness or a example, and you criticized my mayor up here. I want to know who that judge is.
That is not a
I want to know who that
criticism.
judge is. That's all I want to know.
You've got 6 of them. You can call them yourself. Talk to all of them.
You positioned.
You'll get
changing the money. No, you brought it up on the table. You brought it on the floor. I want to know who it is, because I've also talked to a judge the same way. We need what they.
Hey, let's move on.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah, we're getting mixed information then.
Thank you.
Let's move on. Moving on. Hey, Bobby, I appreciate it, but I've had 2 judges in front of me lawyers and, you know, I'm not gonna sit here and, you know, go back and forth. Hey, you done?
No, I wanted to finish this.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So I question the need for the 100 million. The schools, bonding another school, we've not approved planning for a school or seen anything about that. If that's coming, it's going to be years down the road. And I believe it's just premature for us to be planning on bonding 80 or $100 million, whatever the case may be at this point. I would rather wait until a couple, 3 years.
When it comes.
We can know more of what the actual cost is going to be for the school, or even if it's necessary. I mean, I haven't heard the case made that a school is needed. Enrollment in our county school system has remained, actually had dropped after COVID, and I think last year had just returned to pre-COVID enrollment levels. And I was not persuaded that we have a need for a new school quite yet. So that's part of my rationale here on this. And
We have kids in the school.
we have, I think we need better information, and don't want to get the cart ahead of the horse and what we're planning here. So would prefer not to take a short-term incremental approach to the courtroom issue, but rather do a longer-term planning. I know there's talk of a judicial center that's probably 6 or 7 years out. So I suggest we punt that one for 6 or 7 years and not spend however much it would be to remodel the 4th floor of this building for a courtroom, and let them absorb it and find out for sure what the deal is. I mean, if we're getting different information, we're not ready to proceed on raising taxes for a bonding issue. That needs to be delayed until we have better information to make a good decision. I also understand the importance of this fund toward achieving a AAA bond rating. Like I said, I've worked on a team that successfully did that with the state's bond rating. It's a laudable and achievable goal, and we do need to aggressively pursue it. I'll end with this. Now is not the time to raise the debt service fund to this high of a level. $10 million is plenty of excess money in there to bond the needs, even if we do bond these other buildings with a 20-year level debt financing and what the current rates are on the muni bonds. With that is the amendment I intend to offer for the next resolution. Questions?
Questions for Mr. Rowan?
Yes, second.
Sorry.
Golly, I got them all over. Sue's first. Mr. Jackson.
On your papers, you're putting on section 8, you're gonna take out on the ambulance service, $117,600.
Are you on the first document?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that is using fund reserves to pay for that is the legislative intent.
Okay, on G, you're saying you're gonna take out $663,350?
Again, all of those items listed there are pulling funds from the general fund reserve as capital.
Okay, because it's not showing the 383,000, where you're gonna take out the 600 some.
Oh, okay.
He's ordered another ambulance.
I'm sorry, I see what you're saying now. The $663,350 includes the second ambulance that's listed up above for $280,000 is included in that number.
Okay, because you're saying was gonna be withdrawn on here.
Yeah, it'll draw down from the general fund reserve. From the reserve, not from the, not removed from that. Sorry.
Let's see, Commissioner Moore.
Now I forgot what I was gonna ask. Well, have you seen the 5-year plan from the school board?
I have not.
You have not? Okay. There's a lot of those schools on that 5-year plan. There's remodels on that plan. We've got Westside Elementary that is 37 years old, never been touched. I've got Commissioner Terrence that is working in Phoenix Academy that does not have a cafeteria. They have one bathroom for the students and the faculty. Everybody, I don't know what group has gotten together and is drilling down on the school board, but go to the meetings, read the 5-year plan, and then you'll understand where we're planning to build the schools. Number one, Springfield Middle has lost their school. So now they're transferred all over the county. There is no school for Springfield Middle. Those kids in Commissioner Woodard's district deserve a school. White House is expanding. I mean, they're gonna have to have another school. Somebody mentioned we paid $945,000 for that land in Greenbrier. You don't understand, you have to have 2 gymnasiums and a high school. That's what that's for. If you don't understand something, stop posting it on Facebook and every social media and attend these meetings. Don't come to the last meeting of the day and expect to say, we don't know about schools. Yes, we do. We haven't missed a school board meeting.
When does it stop? Hey, it's not a public meeting. I know everybody's got something to say, but I think we've had 2 or 3 weeks with the emails and stuff. Let the lady speak. We let Mr. Rummel speak, and now I'm fixing to let Mr. Haley speak.
Oh, Mr. Rummel, I'm gonna have a question for you. We did this once before with the school. Reduce the number of cents that they got.
Down to 1.
Our agreement with them when we did that, came around, Couch would start working on it in January. That money went back. In your resolution, would that happen? Or would they start at 59 cents?
I'm not familiar with any agreement to that, and I have no plans of additional pennies going
Okay,
back.
that's all I gotta say.
Okay, if there's nobody else like to
I have
speak,
one question.
I'd like to get Jody to make a statement. And then,
So you keep using the term reserve, and I think words are important. We gotta make sure. So this reserve money that you're getting is on this reserve fund balance, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Those are obligated by law. There's all kinds of laws and resolutions. There's about 23 different reserves that are set up by law, and there's majority of them are actual. You're saying, I guess is what I want to say. By law, they're obligated for other items. They're on the balance sheet for the county. There's got county clerk's fees, there's your circuit fees and all that. So if you're trying to use funds to do something with that 2.184 million, that's all obligated.
Which one are you referring to? The debt service, what I'm calling the debt service fund from the budget document?
And then page 19.
no, you need to get up to the mic. The first page you handed out.
Okay.
Confused. If you're using that 2,184,062, you cannot.
I'm not.
Oh, you're using something else?
Yeah, the local property tax for a portion.
I was confused where all this is coming from. I didn't know.
Hey, today, let me call a recess.
Can we get a recess and
Give me a motion for recess.
Second.
Second, all in favor, say aye. Okay, let's take a 10-minute recess.
We run the truck.
Everybody settle down. We're gonna let Jody and Mr. Rummel wrap this up, because I think Jody needs to understand the figures that he got, because she's our guru who, does a fantastic job.
Amen.
I mean, we went years without an audit from a zero audit, no findings. Can't many counties say that. And by the work of department heads.
Yeah, we're constrained by.
Yeah. Nobody was buying gift cards and handing them out.
You want your name down. You want your name.
It's been tried, but it got turned down. Me too. You was always hot.
You got three?
I'm about to,
Is your sugar mentioned?
I think so.
My hands are cold.
They're gonna have to go get me a blanket.
I got an orange jumpsuit you can wear.
Not my neighbor.
That wheel won't get up.
Well, I think we should do it before we come.
We about ready.
Just about.
Are we tweaking?
Don't worry.
We don't think it's,
I got it.
It's mine. We're gonna be here a while. But they all like help. Got to have it. I'm gonna take school people on the raise.
Turning one of them Sumner County meetings. Oh, they-
My two dogs.
Put on the committee.
hey, I know what happened.
I know.
Bubba, you got a hat? What? You got a hat? They said take them off. I'm getting a glare back here.
Where's that? Where's Stacy?
Shined her too much, Bubba.
Why didn't she come?
Let's go.
I had cigarette on, I brought her tonight. I had cigarette on back some.
Okay.
I should have brought a Q-Gel.
Let's go, gang. This is very important. I know you need some time, but I said, now who's gonna talk first? All right. Jody Stewart, our finance director.
So basically, what Commissioner Jonathan Rummel is doing is he's gonna go on ahead and add $893,825 to your fire prevention services, making that be $1,667,650. And then he's gonna add $280,000 to the ambulance service, making that $7,677,269. So.
Michelle, you're talking about resolution 9, right?
The budget
I'm
resolution.
talking
Okay.
about the first resolution.
Yes.
Yes.
He's raised it up in them two categories. Now we're fixing to go down to the other.
Okay.
So the 49,642,825 is gonna be the expenses for the general fund. And then he'll be taking $306,000, which is 1 penny away. And that's how you're gonna derive it, your 16 million
Yes, ma'am.
ending fund balance. So the other items he discussed, actually, they're included in the budget. And he
Right.
somehow was thinking he needed to do something where he took it away from fund balance, so I kept using the word reserve. He wasn't talking about the reserves that by law are obligated to certain items. Yes. That makes.
Yes. I'm learning, first year.
It's all about communication, gang. It's all about
I
communication.
appreciate everyone's patience with that.
You kept saying reserve, you was really, yeah, but you know.
Thank you for the clarification.
Okay. Jody, you all right? All right. Now, can you tell me what tax rate Mr. Commissioner here is saying?
So on the tax rate,
So we're going to 91 now.
it's gonna go to page 9.
Okay.
So on the tax rate, we didn't talk about that. But I got where you said 96 for the general fund.
I'm asking because we do need a motion. There are probably some questions. I've got a motion.
By 1 penny.
Hey, we'll be voting on the amendment.
Correct. And it's 17468. So on page 9, everyone, changed your tax rate for the general fund to 96 cents. The solid waste to 4 cents. Changing your school, property tax rate to 0.5618. And then he's changing the debt service to 0.185, 18.5 cents. And that's a property tax rate of 17468.
Okay. Now, that is your amendment, correct, Commissioner?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, we've had a motion on the floor for, let me get back, it's been a while, for the adopting the tax rate. Now, I've got an amendment going with the motion for $1.7468 tax rate. I need a second.
That's the second resolution.
Second.
First one.
Man, I got so much paper up here, I'm starting fire.
That's what the amendment is.
All right. State your motion. State your amendment again. Just let him state it.
I'm sorry, won't you state it again, sir?
State your amendment.
Oh,
Don't go through the whole long version.
okay. Yeah, thank you. Okay, the amendment to the budget is increase the general fund line item for fire prevention services to $1,667,650, up from $773,825, an increase of $893,825. It's the legislative intent that these additional funds be used to double the current allocation to each fire department as listed in the detailed budget document, and provide an additional $30,000 to the 4 fire stations that provide support to the interstate, subject to execution of contracts with the fire departments. Number 2, increase the general fund line item for ambulance services to $7,677,269, up from $7,397,269, an increase of $280,000. It's the legislative intent that these additional funds be used to purchase an ambulance in addition to the ambulance currently included in the general budget document. All expenses in the general fund, 101, account code 799, various capital outlay or similar title, or account number 718, in the detailed amount, will be as the steward described previous comments as affecting the fund, including the unallocated current surplus of $125,000. This will have the effect of reducing the tax burden on the general fund by $825, or I'm sorry, $392,80, allowing for a property tax rate to the general fund to be reduced to 0.96, down from 0.97, a 1 penny reduction in the proposed tax rate. That will leave unallocated surplus of $86,080 in the general fund, by my calculation and subject to the finance department's verification of that. Additionally, the previously allocated funds for the roof on the county office building, that is not really relevant, I think, from the other item that we have on the agenda, bring that to the general fund.
Okay. Well, I guess someone wants to speak. Do I need to get a second for the amendment motion, Madam Clerk?
You got a second.
Had a Woodard second.
Okay, Woodard second. All right, second. Now, question. Stubblefield.
Yeah, Mr. Commissioner Romo, I'd like to ask you a couple of questions. So you're talking about the total drawdown will now be the 25,289,000. That's what it'll be resulting if we pass these amendments.
Where are you?
That's for the debt
This
service.
right here. Because the debt
Okay,
service
you're-
fund
okay,
is
you're
gonna
on
be
the,
at
You're on the
second
tax, the second amendment.
Okay,
Are we
we're
on the
not,
first one?
we're not addressing the second one. Okay, then I won't ask you that. I'd like to ask you a question on this First Amendment,
Yes, ma'am.
Dan. How did you come up with these figures? How did you know that we needed to give $1,667,060 to fire services? Where did that number come from?
That number came from me attending the fire committee meeting.
I never heard that number there.
Well, let me explain what I'm talking about. It came because what the fire, in keeping with what they were doing, where they were doubling the allocation to fire departments, plus adding $30,000, I think at Commissioner Doris's recommendation for each of the fire departments that service the interstate. So I just took the current allocated number that's in the budget for each of the fire departments. I doubled it and added $120,000 to accommodate Commissioner Doris's desire for the additional $30,000. And that was all information I gleaned from attending the fire services. You are absolutely correct. You would not have heard that number from the fire committee meeting because they had not been on that. I wanted to go ahead and include it in the budget here to make sure that we had a line item covering it in the budget tonight and not put to risk our fire services beyond the budget.
I understand that, and I don't have any problem at all with the fire departments they desperately need new funding. But what we give them is a donation, and that is not what the fire committee voted on. Not every station got double plus. And so that's not what they voted on there. So you just picked their number, doubled it, and gave them then the extra 30,000 per four station.
I did, and if that's not agreeable, I'd welcome an amendment to my amendment to do something different. So I think my.
All of them.
Pardon me?
Thing is, this didn't get to go in front of the budget committee. But if this passes tonight, our county attorney will have to write contracts with these amounts. And of course, it's gonna be some things added. We would love, we're doing this as a donation, and we love for the cities to keep doing their part instead of just depending on us. I mean, and that's what this is all about. So it's,
And some of
the reason we haven't got contracts is, to be honest with everybody, and they know it, we found out some cities might be using our money, wasn't putting in nothing. And that ain't what the deal was. We're paying for a service and it's working great. Okay, anyone else?
I'm not finished.
Okay.
Commissioner Rummel, did you state that the change in the school's budget will maintain their maintenance of effort that we're required by federal law to give them?
Yes, the maintenance of effort requirement on the local property tax portion, it maintains the same funding level as the 22-23 fiscal year to maintain the maintenance of effort requirement and maintain our obligation there.
Okay. Then I want to go to the ambulance, the new ambulance.
Yes, ma'am.
My understanding is that, first of all, there's several different things about this ambulance. It's going to cost more than $289,000. And so that's a nice pittance to give us, but it won't take us where we need to be with the new ambulance. Also, we need to add to the fleet, not replace. And what we've been doing for multiple years is replacing ambulances. We've never added to the fleet for years, not since I've been on the committee. And so now we're talking about 2 ambulances. We got one in this year. We desperately need a new ambulance in the eastern part of the county, White House and Cross Plains, the interstate. We need at least 2 ambulances there, if not 3. We don't have anywhere to house them. We need to add to our fleet, but we don't have anywhere to house them. So when we get these ambulances, which we don't just want, we're in dire need of right now, and it's going to take 2 years from the time, or a year and a half from the time we order it to get it. So we need to also be looking at building fire stations. And I've been out there talking to some people, trying to get some cities to help us build stations, but we haven't yet. But that's another expense that we're going to occur right away, fairly soon. And then also, I don't know if anybody watches the news or not, but there's been a huge amount of emergencies, like in Hickman County this past weekend, last week when they had the big explosion. And we have a train running through downtown Springfield. That East Palestine wreck that happened, derailment that happened and created such a massive emergency, that could happen in downtown Springfield. It's not a matter of when Springfield, if Springfield will have an emergency like some of these out there. We could have the tornadoes, we could have derailments, we could have explosions in one of our industries. We desperately are in need of an emergency operations center. And we are not we're not in the thinking and planning stage of this. We are actually in a committee has been formed to come up with a building. This is going to be something that we're going to need. We need now. We need today. We don't need it 3, 4 years in a row. We need now. This is a dire need in our county. I'm very passionate about it. I think that we need it. This is going to take building money. And there again, then we go back to our what our balances are in our reserve funds for building. We have to maintain a high rating in order for us to borrow the money that we're looking at borrowing in the next few years. Not only for the EOC, but our ambulance stations, our schools, our court, different things like that. So if we draw down too much, we're going to lose the value that we have in that. That's my speech, I guess.
Okay. Commissioner Hogan.
In reference to what Commissioner Rumble was saying, he's trying to reduce the budget and reduce the tax rate that is being done tonight. It looks like he's taking some money out of midair and adding it to the fire departments. And I'm in total agreement that we should. But I think we owe it to this county to do it in due process. I think he's just wanting it to happen, and yet he's taking money away and trying to give a public appearance that, hey, we're saving money. But there's a due process, and that has not even come before the full commission yet. We haven't had a chance to vote on it, and I would vote for the extra dollars. I want the fire department to do it. But I still think there is a due process we need to follow and not just throw it in the budget.
They need to go to the budget committee.
And that's my comment.
Mr. Chairman, I think the budget director confirmed not pulling anything out of thin air.
Hey, well, I'm fixing to call on him. Commissioner Cows.
So there's a couple of things and I'm, for the fire department, I think we should consider amendment, set that money aside. But we don't need to allocate that money, know what they're going to do. We're going to ask them to tell us what you're going to do with it.
Correct.
Now, I don't want to write them a blank check. And I don't think you do either. That's the way this is set up. We're going to give everybody double the money and $120,000 more if you're on the interstate, and we hope you do good things with it. I don't like that, but that's the way it's written right now.
I welcome an amendment to tighten it up.
Since it's a donation, I think we can make an amendment to set it aside until Stacy and her committee gets together and they decide how the money's gonna be allocated.
I'm fine with that. I just want it as a line item in the budget.
Because I don't, because that's what it feels like we're doing on this one. I'm also, I understand what you're saying. We're meeting the maintenance of school, and I've got grandchildren in school. And I think, this is my opinion, I get to state it, I think overall they're doing a good job.
It's not even right. Oh.
I think that overall they're doing a good job. I do believe that if you've been in any of them, they've got maintenance problems. So if you ask me what they do with the extra money, we could fix commodes, we could fix roofs, fix ceilings that are falling in. There's lots that they could do with it if they can hire enough people to do the maintenance.
That's right.
And I don't know how many of your children go to public school, but I'd like them going to the bathroom with the doors working. So it's not like it costs a lot of money to keep these schools up and the buildings up, and they do the best they can. I'd say that they could use any extra money to do that. So when you take $800,000 out of them, I understand that money that's not out of taxpayers' pocket. I'll say you've done a good job. You're keeping the sheriff whole and you're keeping the EMS whole.
Mr. Suttle?
I was just wondering if the last line that says subject to execution of contracts with the fire departments, would that not protect us? They can't just go and use that without us having a contract. Am I looking at that wrong? Would that line right there not?
It has to be stated in the contract specifically what they use it for.
Is it an amendment? How many times? I think it's fine to allow the contracts to specify how the money's to be spent. And I wasn't looking to micromanage how the fire committee or the mayor's office set up those contracts or the county attorney. The intention is that the contracts govern how the money is to be spent. Each of these fire departments brought budgets and presented budgets to the committee.
Well, no, they didn't.
Not all of them.
Part of the problem.
You're right, not all of them, but
And if
and
if you looked at some of them, they weren't budgets. That's right. They were what they spent last year. That's not.
Okay, Commissioner Moore?
Well, as chairman of the fire committee, the amount would be $2,083,364. And that is not doubling everybody's, not everybody is equal. So we're not giving 5% across the board. I'm not real sure. I know you attended the meeting and I appreciate that. But I haven't made it to the budget committee yet. But after consulting with the chairman of the budget committee, there was money there to fund.
Okay. Let me just round that up. They had a fire meeting and some amounts were added to the ones that brought their paperwork, how the cities was going, like, I'm gonna use Greenbrier, for example. That mayor's hiring 2 firemen, so that tells us he's putting skin in the game. Now, you got some fire departments that, maybe some cities, it's, they say we just put it in general fund and we move it as we need it or whatever. That's not what fire committee wanted to hear. And then the budget committee has not heard the fire committee reports yet. So yeah, I think voting on this tonight without the committee's approvals, the 2 committees, is probably not what the auditors would want to hear. Okay, now, we're getting down to crunch time, gang. I've got a motion. Help me out, Madam Clerk. We've got a motion and a second on the amendment. Now, I think Mr. Romo wants to amend his amendment. Is that right?
If it's related to what Chairman Couts has suggested need to be tightened up, I said I welcome an amendment to that to make it tighter.
What?
I said, if there's a desire to tighten up the fire services amount, tighter language, so they did not have just an open check, as you were saying.
Yeah.
I would welcome an amendment to tighten that up if somebody wants.
Well, I don't know about tightening it up. I'd say we probably need to take it out until it's voted on by the fire committee and by the budget committee.
I would be opposed to an effort to remove that from the budget at this point.
You'd be opposed to it?
I'm opposed to removing it from the budget at this point. I would much rather have the allocation of those funds be subject to the mayor's office to allocate them as you see fit to each of the fire departments.
That's a point of order. Did you have that in the motion? Did you have that information for the mayor to control the funds? Just a point of order.
It's not in there.
I'm sorry,
It's not in there,
what's your
right?
question? That is not in there. I'm
And you just said that it was.
No, I did not say this. I said that if we need to tighten it up, I'm happy for those funds to be subject to the mayor's discretion in how they're allocated. And I'd welcome an amendment to do that for the funds I've indicated. I don't mind, Mayor, I don't mind if you're the one who decides how they're allocated. I don't
know if that's strictly, I don't know if that's legal. I mean, if they turned the checkbook over to me, I don't think the auditor would like that much. Hey, the thing is, we're gonna help the fire department. It's gonna be.
Donate, you can donate what you want.
I don't know what number she's got.
Is there an ulterior?
That reminds me, if we want to if he wants to keep this in the budget, is there a way we keep it in the budget and keep it?
No.
If it is, I don't know. That's the reason I'm asking.
Jody, is there a way to keep this in the budget? And then when the fire committee comes to the budget committee, it's not exactly the same number? And we can, tweak it at the budget committee, but right now we could put it in there and leave it?
I didn't give it to him.
You definitely could put it in there and leave it, but if you were wanting to put an estimate, I'm not positive I would have like such an exact number. I would like say 890,000. I'd
Well,
say.
That's what, not to exceed?
I not to exceed.
Okay, you wanna do it like that, Bobby?
Yep.
No,
You don't wanna do it like that, Stacy?
no. Then that's saying, let's get rid of all our processes,
Well,
diligence.
I mean, I feel like,
I mean, how come this wasn't brought up last?
I know, I feel like we got the cart in front of the horse.
Because, I'll tell you why, because I had 2 weeks to review the budget document, it was passed out to come up with an amendment here after I got the final budget document.
No, the reason it happened is because the fire committee met after the budget committee did.
Well, everyone has the opportunity to propose amendments at this meeting. There's no rule or requirement that our amendments to the budget be presented to anyone in advance. And I've not breached any rule in presenting my amendments this evening.
I don't think anybody said you did.
I don't blame him, I'd have left too.
There's been question raised as to why I would not have distributed this earlier. I didn't have it ready earlier.
They can question it, but I don't think anybody accused you of doing anything illegal.
I wasn't suggesting I did anything illegal with
I don't think you did anything illegal. I just think we got to go through due process.
That's right.
And we owe that to the taxpayers. I don't care if it's good, bad, or what. We owe it to the taxpayers that it's got to go in front of the budget committee.
Amended.
I mean, hey, the way we're doing it, we're like a city, like y'all making me a city manager and I can just disperse the money. It don't work like that. And it shouldn't work like that.
So we're still back, how we're gonna do it.
Maybe we should call the question on the amendment as it stated.
All right, I call the question. You're for the amendment as it is right now with the fire department in. Vote yes. If you're against it, vote no. You know what the amendment is.
Let's make sure that you know.
I'm not.
A little confused.
Yes.
The amendment is he's setting the tax rate at dollar.
Nope.
No, we're not there yet.
Okay, that's the reason I wanted the two amendments together. This don't make sense to me, but, all right. We need, he's done read his amendment twice. That sheet,
This is, if you don't mind, I'll read it again for you.
okay. This will be the last time, gang, listen up.
Is an amendment to increase the general line item fire prevention to $1,667,650, up from $773,825, is an increase of $893,825. It is the legislative intent that these additional funds be used to double the current allocation for each department as listed in the detailed budget document and provide an extra $30,000 for the fire stations that provide interstate subject to execute the contract with fire departments. I'm not telling you that word don't fix this. I don't know that. Increase the general fund line item for ambulance service to $7,677,269, up from $7,397,269, an increase of $280,000. This is the county code 55-130-718. It's a legislative intent that these additional funds be used to purchase an ambulance in addition to the ambulance currently included in the detailed budget. I'm not sure that's enough money to buy one, but.
Could we get clarification? I had understood from our chief, the ambulance director, that we were getting one already for that price. And if I had the wrong number, I'm happy to know that, but
Mr. Chairman,
I thought we had.
We're already into the question.
Yeah.
We should come to a question and quit this discussion.
Right. He's done put the amount.
So, yeah.
Let's vote on it.
I'll finish reading. All expenses in general fund number 101, account 799, various capital outlay or summary title or account code 718, and the detailed budget document will draw down funds from the general fund reserve and not recurring revenues. And I don't know that I need to read those. We've seen.
No,
that will allow
It
the,
done been explained.
right.
Okay. You've heard the amendment. We got a second. Is there any questions?
Point of order, just to clarify. I thought we were amending the amendment. Are you, I thought the question was called to amend the amendment. Is that not the case?
Madam Clerk, will you tell us where we're at?
This is a resolution here
Motion
for
to
you, this
amend
amendment.
this right here.
Right. You want to do it in two separate amendments. So we're doing the first one.
Not what we want to do.
Ain't that what you want to do?
I do. I'm concerned about the word of art that I use here based on what our budget director has advised. In that she, apparently the use of the word reserve there seemed to cause some consternation. And she described it differently. So I want to make sure my amendment does not fall prey to a technicality and that we have it properly worded in there as it was read. So I'll ask our budget director, is that word a problem for what I'm trying to achieve? Or do we need to change that word reserve to another word to make sure this doesn't fall prey to a technicality?
No, what you handed out is not like it's, it can be read a different, you can change a word or whatever. As long as the numbers is what you vote on. We're voting on numbers. We're not really voting on words.
So technically,
Yeah.
those numbers you've listed out are actually already in this budget dollar amount on page 5.
But you are clear and understand the legislative intent of what I've proposed here from our conversation, right?
I'm almost wondering if that part shouldn't be stricken, and as we've been standing here talking, that detailed salary budget that I have to provide to the comptroller, where you're adding this 893.25, I'm gonna have dollar amounts for each line item for those 9 fire departments.
Yeah, that's,
I'm gonna have to. I have to have a detailed salary
yeah, and I
budget.
can't just give it out as I want to.
So
That's
I'm
not,
a little confused on what I do there. I'm wondering, do I make a new line item and just,
we've got to have it down in writing what each fire department's going to get.
I have
Or,
to have a detail.
or we're gonna have a finding by the comptroller's office.
Do you need it right now? Because it's real easy to look in the budget. What I propose is what is in there, double it. And on the 4 fire departments that are next to the interstate, it's.
This passes and you.
Still a point of order, we shouldn't be having any of this.
I personally, I
don't
think,
think we're.
I don't think it hasn't been in front of the budget committee. I don't know why we,
Yeah.
Word is right. We need to vote on the amendment.
Mr. Chairman, I don't question that's been called.
yeah.
If we're gonna follow Robert's rules, I demand that we do that.
All right, let's vote. You're for the amendment as it was presented. You know the numbers. Vote yes. If you're against it, vote no.
Numbers are wrong.
Got 9 yes, 12 no. That failed to receive the 13 votes. So we go back to the original amendment, which is, Bobby,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Counts,
Yes, sir.
go back to the original amendment.
The original amendment is, it stated 082-123-090. The budget is stated, sets a tax rate at $1.87.
No,
No,
no, we're going back.
we're going back to,
Number 9.
That's this one, right?
Yeah, you just.
Already set.
2390?
I said the tax rate yet.
Not set a tax rate. This is the original budget.
We're setting these aside, right?
Except the first one, we've still got another one, right? We still have another amendment.
Right.
correct? Besides this, we have another amendment.
I think he presented in two amendments.
We voted on this one.
We only voted on A.
Correct.
On 90.
The 90.
Now we're on 91.
Don't gotta vote on Bobby's budget or vote on the tax.
I have to go back.
Madam Clerk, explain to them what we need to do.
We can call a question on the second amendment that Commissioner Rumble presented to us tonight.
Well, they're gonna ask what it is.
We're not on.
It's the number there.
We're not on that resolution yet. We're still on the main budget, general
You have
fund.
to go back.
That's correct.
So you didn't present this amendment yet?
That one?
I presented it at the.
That's been-
Time for it. Ain't time for it.
But we're not to that.
We haven't voted on that budget.
That's right, you gotta go back.
If I understand it right, what,
He's trying to change the amendments.
well,
Right?
no, here, we asked him to tell us what the second amendment was before we would vote on the first one.
That's right.
And so what Commissioner Rommel, if I understand this right, he would like for us to vote on this, on the budget as is. And then his second amendment he offers as an amendment to that budget.
Correct. That's what you said. That's listed on the agenda that we're working through this evening. The general fund budget.
We're on the budget now.
Ahead of the.
Happy, Madam Clerk?
90.
Okay, Bob,
We are voting on the budget right now.
he's fixing to tell you.
Not the tax rate, not the tax rate.
The budget.
A resolution making appropriations for the various funds, departments, offices, and agency of Robertson County, Tennessee for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024.
Need a second. I'll second.
We got-
We do have a second.
We've already got a second.
Question.
I'm sitting here. Commissioner Stubblefield?
Voting on the budget as is, not the tax rate, the budget, the original budget.
Okay.
Commissioner Stubblefield?
On this one?
Commissioner Counts, I'd like to, amend this one that we change, take it down 2 cents because we do have found some extra money.
We're not there yet.
That's.
We're not there.
That's right.
That'll be on tax rate. That's okay, that's okay. Yeah.
Show me when's the right time.
Hey, I've got a motion and a second.
For the budget, and I call for a question if there's.
Question being called.
I don't. On this budget, correct?
Correct.
Just vote on this budget. Now we're on this budget, correct?
We voted on amendment.
Gotcha, okay. So now we're on this budget, right?
The original that was in the packet.
Back to the original budget.
Back to the original budget.
Before the original budget, vote yes, against it, vote no.
No, we're not saying the tax rate.
I've got 16-4, 6 again. I declare that resolution passes. Okay. All right, Commissioner Couch, you want to present that?
Well,
Well, I presented an amendment.
and so now I need to. Tax rate.
Yep. Yeah, we're not done yet.
Nope, I'm not.
This amendment.
We ain't done the tax rate.
Got my papers, Mr. Rumble's papers mixed up.
That's what I say. I got enough up here to start a bonfire.
I need one.
My 25 years, my 25 years of county government, I've never seen it.
All right, this is resolution 08-212-3091. This is a resolution establishing the property tax levy of Robertson County for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024. That would be 97 cents for the general fund, 4 cents for solid waste, 9 cents for 27 cents for debt service, for a total of $1.87.
Okay, I got a motion by Couch, a second by Commissioner Hogan. Mr. Stubblefield.
Commissioner Counts, I would like to make a motion that we lower the tax rate 2 cents.
On Which one?
on the current one.
The current one, the 180.
So what we put a roof on this building, and it was our understanding, because they fixed it, they fixed the bad spot, but the roof was still leaking. We took emergency action and we spent general fund money to put a roof on here. And we didn't think we were gonna get any insurance money, but we did. So we felt like that 662,000, I think it is.
Yeah.
We would put that back against the tax. So that would put it from 187 to 185.
So we're taking it out of the general fund, is my question.
Correct. Yeah, that's 662. We felt like it was, honestly, we felt like it was money we didn't think was gonna get, and we did. We felt like we ought to return it since we did.
So that's from 97 to 95.
So that would go from 187 to 185, correct.
Yeah, we called the insurance company, adjusters came back out, found out the roof had kind of shifted in all four corners. So they went ahead and paid it off.
So that would be an amendment, I guess, we need to state as an amendment.
Yep.
And so we got a second on that?
Yes.
Yeah, I got a second.
Question.
Well, wait a minute, I had Mr. Romo set to speak before the question.
Yes, sir.
Are these one-time insurance proceeds money, or are these recurring funds?
They're one-time money that we didn't know we were gonna get. We got the check after the budget was finished, and we did listen to the open forum, and quite a few said, look, can you do anything? This would lower it to 12.5%. That was what it would do.
Well,
It was your cut, I agree.
I'm certainly in favor of lowering the tax rate, whether it's for 2 pennies or whatever. But I also know that I presented an amendment to do a much more significant decrease in the tax rate. And I was asked to present under the previous resolution and didn't get recognized to present mine first. I believe it would be in keeping and is not inconsistent with what Commissioner Stubblefield has presented to, what she's presented would be absorbed with what I've described in my earlier description of the amendment to the tax rate. So I'm opposed to reducing this on those grounds, and I would like to have an opportunity for my amendment to the tax rate to be heard and voted on prior to this, if Commissioner Stubblefield would be willing to withdraw her amendment to allow that to happen first.
Is on the table. Do something with it. Commissioner Stubblefield's motion, you gotta do something with it.
Got to do something with it, got a second. And
Pass it, deny it.
if it don't pass,
Pass it, deny or withdraw it.
if it don't pass, then we go back to, you can amend it again. Okay? If it passes, it passes. If it don't, then we're still at the table.
Because it would be yours anyway.
All right, do I have any more questions? Commissioner Roberts?
I'm with what Commissioner Stubblefield has over there. But what if we went on and took 5 more cents out of our debt services, which would be $1.5 million, and it would bring us down closer to 9 cents or 9% tax increase? That way we don't have to worry about what's going on down here. We can stick to our budget, still gonna help the taxpayers out, we can still bring it down.
So if you're proposing we take 1.5 million out of the general fund,
Yeah.
we'll lower the tax rate to get it to, what would that put us, 9 what?
9.43%.
Put us to 9.43%.
That would get the taxpayers help, it would get us where we're at, and we'd have extra money there.
Let the chair say, the way you're explaining it is a lot easier for everybody to understand. No offense, Mr. Romo, but we're getting at the same place we use that. He's saying he's gonna take it out of fund balance, a certain amount, and that gets the tax rate where.
Well, then, we had talked about with our fire departments, with our general funds, that we would possibly take the money to help them out of our general funds.
That's right.
So that takes care of both sides, what we're looking at here. We don't have to stay complicated down here, we're gonna stay simple right here. And we're gonna help the taxpayers.
We need to. Thank you, Eric.
So here's what we got. I don't want to get out of. We have a motion in front of us,
Got a motion in front of us, got a second on it.
an amendment to this motion. Now, I understand, you think your motion should be voted on first. Is that what you're-
Amendment, I did not hear an amendment or a second.
Yes,
From Mr. Rumble.
taxpayer.
Yeah,
We did from Ms. Stubblefield, not from Commissioner Rumble.
no, right now, Commissioner Stubblefield's
2 pennies.
2 pennies is on, we need to vote on it. We need to vote on it, move. If it don't pass, then we'll go to another one. All right, I got Commissioner Sutter wants to speak.
I just have a question.
Yeah.
If we do pass this amendment, it can be amended again, correct? Even if it goes through, it can be amended.
Not really.
It would be the first amendment that can be amended again.
The way I understand it, even if we pass this, if the next amendment up were Commissioner.
You be amending the original motion
Right.
of the tax rate.
Right.
You won't, if the amendment passes, then it's gone. But
It's
you
gone.
can change that again and have another amendment.
Commissioner Rumble.
So this is not to completely pass it. If this passes, it still has to be read again, correct?
Correct.
As a new motion of amendment.
So, Jonathan, Commissioner Rowan could still present his.
You can.
Yes, that would supersede that one if.
If, we'll vote for Commissioner Stubblefield's. If it passes, we go back to voting on the tax rate again.
That's fine. I'm with you.
That sound better to y'all? If this passes, you've got to go back and vote on that tax
Yeah,
rate
that's all
again.
that I needed.
Yeah, and it's still.
Right. Call back, somebody call for question.
We did.
I got a question.
And let you bring.
Your for this amendment, vote yes. If you're against it, vote no.
Bit confused.
So the amendment is stated is we're voting on a 2 cent cut.
Correct. Based on the roof money.
Based on roof.
Based on, and out of general fund.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what we're voting on right now.
So if we vote on this, can I still come back with?
Yes, sir.
Yes, you can, 'cause we got to go back and vote on the tax rate.
Okay. It's still open to be amended.
I don't think nobody's listening. I got 14-4, 8 against. That resolution passes. Now, go back to the tax rate, Commissioner Couch.
The resolution before us. The resolution before us is
Right.
for the tax rate to be $1, it'll now be $1.85.
Right.
Got a motion by Couch. Wait a minute, we got to raise the board first.
To do what?
I got a motion by Couch, second by,
Motion to do what?
second by Hogan. Yeah. Mr. Romo, you want to speak again?
Yes, sir.
Yay.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, my motion is my previously presented amendment to the tax increase, and I ask that it will incorporate the previously approved 2 cent reduction, I guess it was, from Commissioner Stubblefield, as included in the total increase, so that the tax rate would be decreased to 1.7468. Affecting the funds as outlined on the amendment.
But that wasn't.
That doesn't take into account. To me, it's going around the barn. It's opening the door. All right, I got a motion. Commissioner Romo, I need a second.
Commissioner Suddle. Need a second.
Y'all need to push your buttons. I didn't see a second. I mean, I'm sure some, but.
Okay, she's-
All right, now I got a second by Commissioner Sullivan. Any questions? Commissioner Hogan, you want to speak?
It seems to me to see this amendment or this suggestion go to Budget Committee again and take it off of this council right here.
Ask something.
Looky here.
Into the budget.
I don't
Not
think,
putting it in form of a motion. It's just a comment.
yeah, but
The structure of this motion.
I don't think we got time to do that, Jody, do we? And go back
They
to,
don't have the right of way.
come back to here again, you know?
Gotta go back to the budget, yeah, you can recess it tonight and then.
Yeah, go back to budget, which you gotta have a 5-day notice. You have to come back here.
We would,
That ain't gonna
we would
work.
have to recess this meeting, I believe, so
Oh, but,
notice for a budget committee.
31st.
This meeting after the budget committee met in order to do what's been requested.
If you want me.
Pick it up tomorrow at whatever time you say.
If y'all wanna reset this meeting to come back tomorrow night,
No.
we're gonna come back. I mean, let's do it tonight.
That's right.
All right, Commissioner Hogan, then what did you want? Go back to the budget meeting?
Comment on the
Oh.
motion, that's all. I wasn't making any amendment.
Okay. Everybody else got to call for question and we'll vote on Mr. Rummel's amendment.
Question.
Question being called. If you're for the amendment, you want to read it again, Bobby? Do you understand it?
Could we state it to be clear so everyone's clear what we're voting on? There seems to be some.
That's what I'm asking you to do, Commissioner.
Thank you, sir.
So you want the tax rate would be set at 1.7468, 1.7468.
All right.
With the allocations as Commissioner Rumble stated.
Do you know where this is coming from?
So is this 96 cents, 4 cents, 0.5618, and 0.185, which equals the 17468.
That's what you're voting on. Yeah. You're voting on them numbers that Mr. Rummel give you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. General fund budget 97 cents.
This is a 6% increase.
Mine ain't working.
All right. What you mean?
Mine won't work, sir. My button won't work, so I'm raising my hand.
Okay.
I got one question, Ms. Jody. Ms. Jody, will this work for the county for this year?
Legal.
Is everything legal for where to work? I know it's a big question to ask you, but can we make it work?
We'll just be out of budget. I mean, we're
We'll
gonna
be out of budget.
pass a budget with more expenditures and revenues.
Yeah, personally, I think it sounds better to say, hey, we're gonna lower the tax rate by taking the money straight out of the fund balance, like Commissioner Roberts gonna do.
For spending our savings.
Hey, whatever way y'all wanna vote on. Hey, we gotta do something while our batteries feet go out.
Can we make it work?
Really,
Can you still get your thing come up on the floor?
Hey,
So the question you're asking is, can we take this money out of general fund and out of debt service and make this work?
Can we make it work, sir?
Yes, sir, we can make it work. It's just less money in there to take care of what we talked about. I'm not telling you that Commissioner Rummel's wrong. I think there's different opinions. We get to have that.
I think
That's what we're here to do.
the chair thinks if you would state where it's coming from, other than just do it, it's better for Jody, and I think y'all understand it better.
And she said, okay.
So, hey, we got a motion and a second. Question called. If you're for Commissioner Rummel's, budget, for lack of a better word, say vote yes. If you're against it, vote no. I got 12 for, 10 against. I declare that resolution fails. Okay. Here you go.
Commissioner Roberts.
I'm saying is I'd like to take 5 cents out of the debt services, which would be, 1.5 million to bring this down. Get our tax rate down and everything.
To get our tax rate down to 9%,
9.43.
9.43.
Okay, I got an amendment by Commissioner Roberts to lower the fund balance in the general fund, 5 cents.
He said debt service, I think.
Put it at $1.80.
Service fund or general?
Debt service.
Debt service?
Debt service fund.
Okay, I got a motion by Mr. Roberts to lower the debt service by 5 cents.
So debt service or general fund?
He said debt.
Debt service.
Okay, So they get 185 or
That gets
180.
the $1.80, is that correct?
$1.80, that'd be 95 cents in the general fund, 4 cents in your solid waste, 59 cents in your school, and that brings your debt service down to 22 cents. That would be $1.80, which is approximately 9.43%.
Okay.
So our pennies stay the same.
Correct.
All right, I got a motion by Roberts and a second by Commissioner Wilson to lower the 5 cents out of debt service to get what number she said, which the schools would say the same. And, you know, solid waste has stayed the same the whole time. It shows the job solid waste committee's doing. Okay.
So you want to read these again, Mr. Mayor? 95 cents for general, 4 cents for
Yeah, I see them.
waste, 59 cents for the school, and 22 cents for debt service, $1.80.
Okay, hey, wait a minute, it's lit up again, and my battery's done, but Commissioner Norris.
And this second one right here, is that taking and removing the ambulance that was proposed a while ago in the other amendment?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So we're taking the ambulance plumb out of it then?
Oh.
Well, they're already getting one this year.
Not two.
They're just getting one, which they just ordered one last year.
I understand, from this face, they'll need them now, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
By removing that number, we're
I think
gonna
we're just
remove
about one.
ambulance that we need now, correct?
Have one scheduled every year.
That happened, that's both too.
That was,
If you buy them a year ahead.
with the budget that our EMS gave us.
Just like we lost ambulance out of it, what we did.
Oh, we didn't have an ambulance.
They didn't lose, they lost one, but they're getting one.
Not quite sure.
Don't gotta pay attention.
Question?
Oh, that mercy.
That's already been worked.
Question?
All right, Commissioner Rommel, you want to speak again?
Yeah, I'll just say that if we have the tax rate down to a 9.4% increase, I will very reluctantly support that. It's a single-digit tax increase. I don't like it. I think we had a path to get something better. But I will support this amendment to get our tax increase down to below a 10% in the interest of compromise.
Commissioner Suttle.
Yes, our body size is 22 tonight, which makes Commissioner Rummel's have passed. We got 12.
13. What?
Well, our body size is 12.
Yes, ma'am.
It takes 13 to pass regardless of how many people.
We checked with the comptroller because we had the same discussion.
It takes 13 people to pass it regardless if somebody's not here.
But that's a good point.
In fact, let's say 20 was here and it's a 10-10 tie, and I'm supposed to break it, that still ain't 13 votes. It takes 13 votes of this body regardless, ain't but 13 of you here. Less than 13, we don't have a quorum.
That's a good question, because
That's a good question, though.
we called the comptroller to make sure we
We thought the
understood.
same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we.
Commissioner,
Good point.
Yes, the ambulance is in need. It's a need of the community. We need it right now. I don't know how we can get it in, but I think Chief Dyer could even speak to this, but I think we can get one as early as February, potentially. He's still here,
He's still here.
but
Well, I can tell you how we do it. That we take it before the budget committee and we bring it before all the commission.
With an amendment then.
The manufacturing delay,
right.
backlog from the supplier.
We don't have that right now. We
They
can get-
found,
get
he
one.
found something sitting there. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So that would be how we do it.
Okay.
if this budget here passes, we've got 2 ambulances coming. That's right. One was ordered last year, and I think one ordered this year. And we just got one.
Yeah.
It's not, okay. Okay, anybody else want to speak?
No.
All right, question being called. If you're for this, if you're for taking 5 cents out of debt service, and we'll have to come back and vote on the tax rate, but that's what this is about. Taking 5 cents out of debt service, vote yes. Against it, vote no. I got 19 for and 3 against. I declare resolution passes, and I do see a light at the end of the tunnel. Mr. Couch.
All right, we're back before, at the original motion. We have now lowered it to $1.80. That is 95 cents in the general fund, 4 cents in solid waste, 59 cents for the school, 22 cents for debt service, for a total of $1.80.
Question.
No, Mr. Rummel wants to talk.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Mr. Rummel.
I would like to offer an amendment to reduce the portion for the school fund by 2.5 pennies.
Okay, I got a motion. I got a motion to amend. Did we ever get to vote on tax rate?
No, we're not there yet.
Still working on pennies.
I got the motion by Rummel to lower 2.5 cents out of the school fund. I need a second. I got a second by Commissioner,
Question.
no, he wants to talk. He wants to talk.
I'm done. I'm done talking. Oh, I'm sorry.
Hey, I need a second, on that motion.
Got it.
Question.
Who was it?
Subtle.
Okay, Commissioner Sullivan. Now, who wants to talk? Mr. Sullivan, you want to talk?
Yes, I just wanted to point out that would still leave the schools above where they were last year, fulfilling our maintenance of efforts. And we're not taking anything from schools. And again, I'd also like to point out something that was brought up last week, that the school board had an opportunity to approve a charter school that would be paid for, but instead they turned it down. So I have no problem taking 2.5 cents out of the school budget.
How would that affect the tax rate and drop it 2.5 cents? Is that?
Well, that's gonna drop, it's $306,000 a penny. So we're talking about, what, $800,000? Is that what we said?
65.
It would drop the tax rate.
Well, it'll drop it more than that,
Drop it another 2.5 cents.
2.5, okay.
There's no school. So it would drop it down to,
$1.77,
Yes.
1.775.
Okay, Commissioner Hogan?
This thing about charter schools is, it's been bounced back and forth. It's gonna cost us more if we go to the charter school route for, at least for the first several years. It's not saving us anymore, and it's gonna cost us $11,800 a child to educate those same children that we can educate a little over 6,000. And I understand the situation they're wanting to go with, but I do not see any savings in that structure when our school system is set up.
Okay, Commissioner Moore?
Nothing's free. The property would cost X amount of dollars for that charter school, because unless there was land given in the city of Springfield or wherever you're gonna put it. Nothing's free.
Commissioner Doc Martin?
The reference to the charter school is totally irrelevant. If you'd have been there at the meeting, the proposal was so poorly written that they had no choice but to turn it down.
Okay, Commissioner Woodard?
Even though it's irrelevant, we're still making factual information, so, and it is true that the charter school had an offer to build a school in Robinson County at no taxpayers' expense. And so, numbers given about $11,000 per kid are pretty much inaccurate. And some of this is.
All right, I've got Commissioner Haley.
I'm just gonna say, I'm not opposed to taking 2.5 cents out, but I don't want to take it out of the school system. I'm not in favor of taking it out of our future.
Hey, I don't want them clapping, I want y'all clapping me. I'm ready to move on.
Question.
Okay, question's been called.
The motion is to take
Motion is to lower
2.5 cents from.
Out of the school fund. For that motion, vote yes. If you against it, vote no. I've got 6 for and 16 against. That resolution fails. So now we go back to the regular.
The original motion.
The original motion? Commissioner Couch, do you know which one that is?
Yes, sir, I do. I think I've got it in front of me. It's a resolution establishing tax levy at $1.80. That's 95 for the general, 4 cents for the solid waste, 59 cents for the school, 22 cents for debt service, for a total of $1.80.
Second. Okay, I got a second by Commissioner Hogan. We've come a long way from the $1.90, whatever, to 87 down to where you're at 74. You know, we're working on this thing. Okay.
Question.
All right, got a question called. If you're for amending to $1.80, vote yes. If you're against it, vote no. And we gotta vote on the tax rate, right, Madam Clerk?
Oh, tax rate.
Here we go.
I have another amendment after, another motion after that, though.
Do you really?
I do.
I got 17 for and 5 against. That resolution passes.
All right. We have, a couple more.
Yeah, you still got some more business.
Yes, we do. Resolution 0821233092. This is a resolution to adopt the property tax freeze program as provided in the 2007 public charter and as amended. Right now, it keeps that, tax relief at 42,000.
42,000 right now, and we're raising it to what?
60,000 next year. Is that correct? I did say that right.
40,520 right now.
40,520 this year. Next year it goes to 60.
Yeah. But this year we're voting on what?
We're voting, the 40,000's already passed. This is next year. This is for next year, 60,000.
Question called for. Thank you for being here, Mr. Trustee. If you're for this resolution, vote yes. If you're against it, vote no. Got 22 for, 0 against. That resolution passes. Commissioner Couch.
This is resolution 0821233093. This is a resolution to establish a program to supplement the property tax relief program of the state of Tennessee provided in Title 67, Chapter 5 of the Tennessee Annotated. What this does is we're funding, it's around $300,000, no more than that, but anyone under, what's the threshold?
Currently 30,000, right around 30. Let me tell you right.
So she's gonna get the exact figure, but if your income is under that $30,000 threshold, we'll give you tax relief. Through us.
33,460 this year.
That's right.
If your household income is under that, because we've had people come in and people had to pick between food and taxes, and we're better than that. And that this budget will fund that to the total of what, 370,000, somewhere in that range?
What was put in the budget, I don't have that number in front of me, but, hold on, I can do it.
Sorry, I should have told you I was gonna call on you.
Whatever it is, we're gonna do it. Yeah, whatever it is, we're gonna do it. And somebody call for question. Question being called. If you're for this resolution, vote yes. If you're against it, vote no. Got 22 for, 0 against. That resolution passes. Mr. Couch, you done. The chair now recognizes Mr. Stubblefield, representing the EMS.
I bring to you resolution number 0821230094. This is a resolution to declare surplus property from the EMS.
Question being called. That's pretty cut and dried, gang. 2013 ambulance that's wore out, blowed up. Another truck, okay. If you're for that resolution, vote yes. If you vote no. I'm sure we'll strip it down. I got 22 for, 0 against. That resolution passes.
Well, it's easier for me to get votes than it is you.
You should do this. You should do most of this and I'll just stand over and watch. You're a better job.
I have resolution number 0821230095. And this is a resolution to authorizing the retirement of Police K-9 Zeus to his handler, Police Officer Brandon Duffy. Honor.
Question.
Yeah.
Question.
Okay, I had Commissioner DeLong presenting that resolution.
Here?
You yield?
Sorry.
No, I'm doing the
Yeah, he's still not.
surplus property.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, I knew you was chairman of the law enforcement. Yeah, okay, we got a great resolution here. Question being called, if you for that resolution, vote yes. Against it, vote no. Thank you, Commissioner Stubblefield. All right, I got,
Hit your button, Mr.
hey,
County.
Bobby Cass, will you vote?
I voted no.
Got 22 for, 0 against, that resolution passes. Now the chair recognizes Commissioner DeLong.
Resolution 0821230096. This is a resolution for surplus property. Election officials.
Okay, surplus property coming from the elections office. That question called, if you're for that motion or resolution, say yes. Against it, vote no. Got 22 for, 0 against, that resolution passes. All right, hey, is any old business coming for the county commission?
Come on, get it.
Seeing none, is any new business coming for the county commission?
Yes, sir. I would like to remind everybody that September 19th starts the Robertson County Fair this year, so don't forget it.
All right, the fair, you okay? Commissioner Hogan?
Yes.
You do our notaries, please?
Well, Mr. Mayor, I will review the application of those wishing to become a notary, even our county court clerk. I recommend that we elect all those who are applied to be a notary for the county of Robertson and the great state of Tennessee.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Commissioner Michael Darsh, you want to make a motion?
Turn, sir.
Got a motion's earned. All in favor, say aye. Thank you all for being here tonight.
I did everything I really want to do.